So this is the continuation of the Gumas report, and this is the new movements of music of 20th century. So the first one is Expressionism. Expressionism started in France as a reaction led by Claude Debussy against the emotional exuberance and epic themes of German Romanticism, exemplified by Wagner. In Debussy's view, art was a sensuous experience rather than an intellectual or ethical one. He urged his countrymen to rediscover the French master of the 18th century for whom music was meant to charm, to entertain, and to serve as a fantasy of the senses. That is Maclais, 1979, 86 to 87. Other composers associated with Impressionism include Maurice Ravel, Albert Roussel, Isaac Albéniz, Paul Dukas, Manuel de Falla, Charles Martin Loeffler, Charles Griffes, Frederick Delius, Ottorino Respighi, Cyril Scott, and Karl Szymanowski. Michaelis, 1979, 115 to 18. Many French composers continued Impressionism's language through the 1920s and later, including Albert Roussel, Charles Coquelin, André Caplet, and later Olivier Messiaen, composers from non-Western cultures such as Toru Takemitsu, and jazz musicians such as Duke Ellington, Hill Evans, Art Tatum, and Cecil Taylor also have been strongly influenced by Impressionist musical language. That is according to Passler, 2001a. The next one is Futurism. At its conception, Futurism was an Italian artistic movement founded in 1909 by Filippo Tommaso Marinetti. It was quickly embraced by the Russian avant-garde. In 1913, the painter Luigi Russolo published a manifesto, L'arte di rumori, the art of noises, calling for incorporation of noises of every kind into music. That is according to Russolo, 1913. Next to Futurism is Expressionism. Expressionism was a prominent artistic trend associated especially with Austria and Germany before, during, and immediately after World War I. In some measure, a reaction against the perceived passive nature of Impressionism, it emphasized an eruptive immediacy of expressive feelings, often based on the psychology of the unconscious. Expressionism is primarily identified with Arnold Schoenberg's free atonal period, that is from 1908 to 21. In particular, the monodrama Erwartung, the Klaverstack, Op. 11, number 3, and the first and last of his 5 orchestral pieces, Op. 16. Certain works from this same period by his pupils, Alban Berg and Anton Webern, are also usually included. The next is Postmodernism. Postmodernism is a reaction to modernism, but it can also be viewed as a response to a deep-seated shift in societal attitude. According to this latter view, postmodernism began when historic, as opposed to personal optimism, turned to pessimism at the latest by 1930. This is according to Mayer, 1994 to 331. The next is minimalism. In the latter 20th century, composers such as Lamont Young, Arvo Part, Philip Glass, Terry Riley, Steve Rich, and John Adams began to explore what is now called minimalism, in which the work is stripped down to its most fundamental features. The music often features repetition and iteration. So the next one is electronic music. The advent of electronic instruments, notably the synthesizer equipment and other innovations, gave rise to music which was not derived or created from the known standard musical instruments, whether from Eastern or Western origin. New electronic instruments appeared that were capable of making sounds previously considered unimaginable. According to Edgar Varese, one of the pioneers of electronic music. So this report will have to be continued by my group mates. Thank you.